Budgets. Budgets and budgeting. The last step, the last part of this lecture. But budgets are really important, and you probably have a budget at home. Or if you don't, I hope you can balance your checkbook. You may have a budget for other things. When I was losing weight and when I'm in maintaining, I had a budget for calories. I had X number of calories I could eat each day, and that's it. If I ate them all for breakfast, I had nothing left for anything else. So budgets tell you how much you have to spend, basically. So there are three types of budgets. Three. Capital, operation, and personnel. Let's talk about those in a little greater detail because you need to understand those types of budgets. Budgets are also revenue, expenses, and the margin. Revenue is all the money coming in. Expenses, all the money going out. If there's money left over, that's a margin. If I spend too much money, that's a loss. Duh, right? So capital budgets. Big ticket items. Big ticket items. Usually more than $5,000. Although every facility does have their specific, but these are big things, and they're usually planned a year in advance. So you never, let's say it's an MRI machine. They run about $1 million. You don't just go out and buy an MRI machine. You budget that in the capital budget. Adding a new wing would be capital budget. MRI machine. That's capital. Big ticket items planned at least a year in advance. It might be very expensive, but those are planned for. Operating budgets. These are the expected expenses. Admissions, discharges, transfers. This is running the place. What it costs to run. What it costs to run the facility. Now, what's in an operating budget? Because there are three subparts to the operating budget. You've got line items, variable, and fixed. Okay, so line items are things that you just need to run. Small equipment, supplies, office equipment, supplies. Fixed are costs that just are always there. So, taxes, insurance, variable are costs that go up and down with the volume of patients. Right? So what are some examples of variable costs that go up and down with patient numbers? Things like laundry, dressing supplies, medications, right? So line items, are little things that are just needed to run. Fixed, pay the same thing every month or every year. Variable, depends on how many people in the building. The last budget is personnel. The largest budget of the three. Capital, operations, personnel. You might have $1 million MRI, but you only buy it once. Personnel is the largest budget that you have. It is affected by staffing, patient census, acuity, productive time, non-productive time. What's the difference? Productive time is time when you're actually taking care of patients. Non-productive time would be things like meetings and vacations, things like that, where you're not actually creating anything, any benefit for the hospital. Personnel is calculated by hours per patient day. Hours per patient day. All that means is if you have one nurse working 8 hours and with 10 patients, right? 10 patients, one nurse times 3 shifts, that is 24 hours with 10 patients, so it's 24 hours divided by 10 is 2.4 hours per patient day. That's all. Don't worry about that. Capital has the big ticket items, the huge ticket items. Building a new hospital would be a capital budget. So you could drop millions of dollars on the capital budget. Operating expenses are the day-to-day things that just keep the place running. If you don't have this, the place shuts down. 3 segments. Line items are the office equipment, the supplies, the paper, the copier, stuff like that. Variable are those costs that go up and down with patient census. So laundry, dressings, meds. And fixed is taxes, insurance, utilities, water. Personnel is the largest budget. It just is. I don't care what you spend on capital. Personnel is the largest budget. So anything that affects personnel is affecting the largest budget. Hiring a person affects the personnel budget, doesn't it? I mean, if you hire another staff member, your personnel budget needs to have room for that person in it, right? Staffing, census, acuity, there's productivity and non-productive times. Where was I? We're almost done. So we do have some, what we call economics of caring. Sounds kind of brutal, doesn't it? But there are economics to caring. And we need to be fiscally responsible so that our patients get the care they need, and yet the facility is able to keep running. Fiscal responsibility to the patient means being cautious and careful with their expenses. So again, having the doctor prescribe medications, generic medications, or medications from the Walmart $4 list is fiscally responsible to the patient. Fiscal responsibility to the employer would be bringing in just enough supplies that you need for that shift or that day, but not too many. Because if you bring too many supplies in, you have to throw them away. Not dropping medications on the floor. Certainly don't pick them up and give to the patient, just because that is not fiscal responsibility. Please don't do that. But you need to be fiscally responsible. You need to be responsible for other people's financial importance. Fiscal responsibility to the patient is the most important. So we need to do things like get discharge planning started right away. Understand the costs of care and how we get reimbursed. So keep the person healthier, keep them moving out the door. Responsibility to your employer. Use supplies properly. That's just a big one. If you go home at night with a pocket full of alcohol swabs, each one costs less than a penny. But if you have a pocket full every day and everybody in the building does that, it adds up. It really does. Bottom line, costs are going up. They are. And they probably always will. We are in the position where we have control to a large degree on that patients that are under our care, so that if we act properly, we might be able to help slow that rise. We'll never stop the rise, but we could slow it down. And that is it. Guys, I want to thank you for listening to all, and sorry I bumped the microphone, watching and listening to all these videos. I really appreciate the feedback that you've given me. This was an experiment. Doing YouTube videos was a big experiment. I think it went well. I had fun doing these. We still have a few more weeks to go in class. Remember, every Friday I will be available 9 to 11 for chat. And I'll be available on Mondays before the next exam also, just like I did for this second one. All right. Email me with any questions. And thank you for being my students. You made this summer a really good summer because you were all engaged. You contacted me, we emailed, we chatted. It's nice to be so connected with students from across the state. So I want to thank you for being such really enthusiastic students, and I'm glad I got a chance to work with you, even if it was just through YouTube videos. Have a great summer. Enjoy your fall. I can't wait to see you graduate, and I hope I get to work with all of you at some point. Take her easy.